Okay, good afternoon. So my name is Jaden Garola, and for this media lab, and the creative revision I will be doing is Project 2, and this is my pitch for that. So for my Project 2, I simply interviewed my dad and asked him questions about his discourse community, and I feel that a good way of revising this would be to transition from a friendly, wholehearted interview that I had with my dad to a more mysterious, deeper, darker, and suspenseful, almost interrogation. In the first project, it was very simple, lighthearted. It flowed well, easy to listen to. It was basically just me talking to my dad. Um, Very easy to record. It was fun. I enjoyed talking to my dad, and overall, it was just a fun, lighthearted project for me. But in terms of creative revision, one thing I thought about doing was not necessarily changing the content of the project. In other words, I'm not going to change the questions that I asked my dad, but instead I'm going to change the surrounding elements that will help change the tone and the atmosphere. For instance, I would like to change it to something more mysterious, suspenseful. So instead of having a lighthearted conversation with my dad, I'll have a different tone. The setting will be different. The atmosphere will be different. And what I mean by that is, for instance, the ambiance. So instead of having relaxing jazz music that I played in the background, I could have something along these lines. More investigative, suspenseful music. Um, Another type of music I could play is something along these lines. So yeah, or another option is simply no music at all. I feel out of those three options, and also keep in mind this is simply a pitch, so none of these options are set in stone in terms of music. I just feel that playing mysterious, suspenseful, almost horror themed music will really help dramatically change the tone and the ambiance of the interview with my dad. And like I said, having no music at all also creates that sense of realism in the fact that it's not really a friendly conversation with my dad. It's intended to be more of an interrogation. So when it comes to investigative LA noir, suspenseful kind of jazz, detective music, it does help create a good atmosphere, but another aspect of that is seen only in Hollywood. In real life, in terms of investigations, detective work, there is no music. And that's what adds a sense of realism, which I feel could help impact this project, which is a major factor, I feel like, in dramatically changing this project and the tone of it and the genre. So, not only that, but I also feel like when talking to my dad, or I guess per se interrogating him, another way of creating that suspenseful atmosphere is taking long dramatic silences or pauses. So when I ask my dad a question, speaking a low, stern, almost angry tone, stop, help create tension, and then continue. It really helps, especially considering it's going to be an auditory project. I think having that silence there helps the listener stop and think, well, what's going to happen next? It creates this subconscious stress, which will help really illustrate the tone that I'm trying to set when revising this project. So once again, tone. Instead of speaking friendly to my dad, for example, in the interview, I was more speaking to him in the manner of, yeah, Dad, so growing up in New Mexico, how was your experience as a child different from others in terms of your discourse community? Very friendly, very lighthearted, but the tone in this revision would be more of, Dad, growing up in a discourse community, how was your experience different from other children? How? What made your experience different growing up? big difference in tone there. And granted, this is just a pitch, as I keep stating, but during the actual project, my tone will be much more different. I'll really emphasize the fact that it's an interrogation. So I'm not going to speak friendly to my tone. It's going to be dramatically different in terms of atmosphere. Um, so I really feel like tone will play a significant part as well. And I really think that the tone that I had with my dad, as opposed to the tone that I had in the second project, that huge difference will also set the tone when you compare the two. Um, so continuing on, the outcome of this project is really to revise it from a friendly informational interview with my dad to something more mysterious and suspenseful, which I personally think will be pretty exciting. Um, I'm not going to change the content of the interview. I'm simply going to keep the content the same questions. My dad will probably give me the same responses, maybe adding a word in there or two to help create, a different kind of dramatic atmosphere, like how I stated how. Um, Little minuscule changes. The content overall, as I stated, will be the same. And I want it to be something more mysterious. I mean, there's different ways of asking people questions and interviewing them. There's an interview, for example, like you're on David Letterman, you're a celebrity, it's lighthearted, it's fun, or there's interrogations where you're also asked questions, but they're questions that have a more serious tone. It's a serious interview or interrogation. My apologies. And overall, the entire tone and ambiance of it is completely different. It's dark, it's grim, it's serious, it's suspenseful, and that is what I hope to achieve in this media lab. Or not only the media lab, but the project as well. I'm sorry. So yeah, essentially I'm going to be asking the same questions, but creating a different atmosphere. And that is my pitch for Project 3. Thank you.